All right, so welcome everybody. Welcome to our June garden talk today. We've got Maud Sharpen, who is a long-standing master gardener, who today is going to be giving us a demonstration on how to create your own beautiful terrarium.
Welcome, everybody. Okay, I just want to make sure you all have your handouts. Terrarium 101. Short list of plants. It's a much longer list of a short list. It's a small world handout. Creating a closed terrarium. And bottle garden handout. Ready, kind of okay. So this is over 20 years old, and the reason for this was I have cats, and anytime I brought house plants into the house, they sat in them and they dust them off. They use them as a potty, and I just threw it together a very long time ago, and it's still looking good. I don't do anything. Once in a while I dust it. So that's one of the beauties of terrariums. They take care of themselves, literally. So this is one example of a container you can use. And then this is another example. This is a little bit more decorative to make sure you use and insert the plant directly in the container. If it's not glass throughout. So what we've got here is we have our supplies, which you should have ready before you start. I have my terrarium, which was kindly donated by Brianne, another master gardener. And I'm doing a presentation on closed terrariums. She also provided a cover. It's like a glove, amazing. So if you buy anything when you're out and about that doesn't have a cover, you're going to have to find a glass cover for it. You want to make it seal, and also use silicone grease on the rim. You have a nice tight seal. It's not permanent, but it'll make sure that you're creating a rainforest and not a rainforest. Okay. So I've made a selection of plants from the short list. I have crispy white fern here. I have sweet and sour peperonium and white splash hypoest. And they all look really well together. Nice little example. They're not going to get too tall, and they're not going to be crowded in your terrarium. And then I have my other supplies here, which are on your list. Items for the base, for drainage, which is optional. Potting shards, you can use splash gems. You can use terrarium pebbles, or you can skip that completely and just go to your soil. Do not use garden soil, potting soil, or soils mix. It's highly recommended. You also want to add your charcoal, absorbing odors. You skip the very pretty base. You just mix these two together. Filter that you want to lay on top of your hardscape if you use it. It will keep the soil from filtering through the stone or your pebbles. Just like you when you plant annual, same things. Gloves. Well, you know, for pruning any diseased leaves, yellow leaves. Scoop. There's a great tool to skewer with a fork for tamping down. If you have a very narrow neck on your container, gently tap the soil or push your plants around. But sometimes you can't put your hand in there, right? We have a very narrow. Okay, what else you guys have? Decorative item. And I put a lot of examples up there, shells, plastic, animals, insects, rocks, even used for boulders if you're creating a landscape. If you want a pretty covering, there's green moss, cocoa shell, sheet moss, Spanish. There's also other little decorative items you can use. This cute little terracotta pot. You can lay him on the side and plant inside him. Stand them up. Little figurines, as long as it's non-porous. You can use decorative shard pieces as a little walkway, a wall. And of course, this is a giant piece, but this would be kind of nice. It's a piece of from an Italian clay pot. Stand that up in your terrarium if you have a very tall terrarium. Landscape grounds. So we're gonna get started here. Steps. Any questions? This is concrete. This is one you can buy, maybe Amazon, Garden Center, I don't know. But you can also go to, yard sales and pick up things like cookie jars, anything glass. And it doesn't have cover, like I said, you'll have to find a glass. I'm gonna skip this portion because this isn't very deep. And the soil needs to be about a quarter the height of the terrarium. Because if I layer these at the bottom, there's not gonna be a lot of room for the plants. So when you're designing, you can think about, do I want to visualize this from one side or all the way around? And that will help you decide which plants to place where inside. Obviously, if you want to see this from 375 degrees, you want your taller plant in the middle and your shorter plants along the outside. If you want to see it from one side, the plant goes in the back, and the shorter medium size will go in the front. Don't crowd. Crowding time. I'm gonna pour it in, see. And this is a really easy container to work with because, I get my hand in here. And I don't have to worry about using chopsticks. I brought chopsticks, but they're not here to get through a very narrow opening. So you manipulate the soil or the plant. Charcoal here, you can get this at any plant supply store. You just sprinkle a little over the top. You don't have to use a whole lot, but it's a nice little thin covering. Well, old school, they recommended using a hardscape base, but now you can either do that or you can just chop right into your mix. No, I'm gonna do a little more. Don't be afraid. There we are. Now, before you plant the plants, obviously, you want to arrange them in front of you in the direction they're going to be in the container. And you also want to make sure they don't have any insects, they don't have disease, you don't have any yellow leaves, any broken leaves. For instance, I'm going to remove this leaf because it's damaged. Yeah, make sure they're clean, of course. Yeah. Remove this leaf. Good. Okay, so we're going to put him. I'm going to do this backwards, and then we're going to turn it around. This one is one of these over pruning also. And you don't want to introduce any insects or diseases to your terrarium. We're gonna start with. You're gonna remove as much of the soil as possible gently. Okay. So you could have either watered this before or not. Up to you. Well, space. The soil around roots. Sometimes you'll have the very long thin roots, you can curl them up. Use your chopsticks to set the roots down through the narrow opening, and then lay the plant on its side. So the roots are laying flat, the plant is laying flat. You lay the roots on top of the soil, you cover the soil. Roots, and then you flip the plant back up. Takes a little practice. So why this container with the widest opening possible? No, yeah, I mean, unless you're very daft with chopsticks. Much anything else. It's good. Exactly. And messy. That's one thing. It is a messy job. More than I expected. While I'm in here, I'm going to make a little space for that. What does it look so far? Okay, because I can't.
It looks too big.
I'm working over the top here.
Oh,
Nice and gentle. Want to do too much damage, you know, you don't want to damage that much. Yeah, because of the glass rim, it's kind of tough. But it's such a nice looking terrarium. They had a different shape maybe. A little bit easier to display. The glass dome wants to shift. Everybody's in there nice and firm. What is in here? So you can create any kind of theme for, you know, these are nice for gifts. So if you have a baby shower, a wedding, an open house, housewarming, anything like that. You just decide what kind of theme you want to use, and you go out and you buy your little decorations or doodads. This is actually covered from a jar, and it's this nice little blue color. You can use that as a little water relief inside your terrarium, right? Same thing with your insect, you got little dinosaurs, if you have any little coins. Baby shower, there you go. Insects, whatever you want to do, as long as it's non-porous. Now, I'm not gonna seal the lid because. Once you get it all done. You're gonna give the walls a little bit of a squirt and the plants. For the humidity. It'll help wash down any soil you might have on the inside. Just enough. Rinse them off. But you don't want your soil to be soggy. To be damp.
Maud, can you move that one pot? It's in the way. Thank you.
Okay, Percy. Eventually the water will drain down. Done. Okay, and then you're gonna put it in your home where it gets indirect light. You don't want it in a hot, bright window, you want it in your dress, hot dress or cold dress. Because you'll turn this into a greenhouse and all the plants will die. Or they'll rot. It'll be too hot and too humid. Leave it for a few days, and if you see any water droplets along the inside, take the cover off, let it breathe. Check to make sure your soil is damp. Wait a few more days, and just for about a week or so, just keep an eye on it. And then forget about it for 20+ years. I bet it was mine. No, I'm serious. I've moved it around the house, I don't know how many times. And I think that's about it. Questions?
Yeah,
What?
I read that you can't use succulents or cactus.
Not in the closed one, that's right. If you have an open terrarium, there's a whole different group of plants to use. And you can Google that list. This is, the plant list I gave you, the short list is for closed terrariums.
So that would be leafy plants.
Pretty much, yeah. Tropical, subtropical.
Right, okay.
Yeah, the succulents would rot.
Yeah.
They
But
need,
the water just recirculates.
So it's
the
like a
moisture.
rainforest, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't even have to spray it anymore.
Nope, once it's damp and you don't have moisture along the inside wall, it's good to go.
When do you put that silicone grease?
After you're confident that the soil isn't too damp and all the moisture along the walls has disappeared.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
and it's not permanent. You know, but it makes a nice airtight seal.
what about plant maintenance, Maud? Cause I mean, the plants are gonna grow, do you,
Right, so.
and you've got a smaller terrarium, so.
So when you go out and to purchase your plants, make sure you know how large they're gonna get, how tall they're gonna get, how wide they're gonna get at maturity. Cause you may buy a plant, for instance, these start out itty bitty, the head lasted. But over time, they could get 3-4 inches tall, so you have to make sure you relate the size of your plant to your container. And there are ferns out there enormous, you don't wanna buy a plant that's gonna overtake your tree. And every once in a while, you might have to go in and replace a plant, but I have never replaced anything in that. Ever.
Does it always stay the same size?
Yeah, they really, well, they might, I think once. Hold on, I think once. Once it's got so tall. And there was a little bit of decay at the bottom, I opened it up. Maybe at once, like that. Thing is now is I need to replace the gasket, because it's starting to.
How do you keep the inside clean then? Does it just?
It just doesn't get dirty. The outside gets full of dust. Truly, I did dust it before I came. But this was, honestly, this was not, I didn't think about this for very long when I first did it. But with this nice motif on the front with the eagle,
Yeah,
hopefully,
like that.
you know, the arrows and the, I'll rent it. I'm going to put more of a patriotic theme inside, go along with the class.
So you had that for 20 years.
20+ years.
So you never added any more moisture to
No.
it?
No. So they're really almost maintenance. Cat. I promise you, unless you can figure out how to undo, you know, take the cover off, it's childproof. Wow. This is.
Do our folks on Zoom have any questions? You can either unmute yourself or put it in the chat and I'll ask Maud.
You have a question back there?
Around here, do you buy those small house plants? Cause I don't usually buy house plants, so I wouldn't know
Okay.
where to look.
So these, I reached out to Smart Vend LLC. Tanisha Pilk. She used to manage one of the local gardens. I know she's gone off on her own, and I sent her a list. And she brought me 30 plants to choose from this morning, and these are the 3 of them.
Where was that again?
So it's called, she's called Smart Vend LLC. I can give you her contact information at the end if you, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes Home Depot has smaller house plants. Wegmans actually in their floral section will have small house plants. Pudgy's has a ton of house plants if you're
Okay.
shopping locally. Sarah's in Brockport sells a lot of house plants. So most garden centers will have a house plant section. You just want to make sure it's the right kind for a closed terrarium.
I just
So-
didn't have the time to go. you know,
Shopping.
Yeah. so
Yeah.
I sent her the list, she went shopping for me, done and this.
One more question.
Yeah,
Don't you have to put some gravel or something in the bottom?
you can, it's optional,
Oh,
yeah, so you can, you know, crimstone, like I said.
yeah,
talk about
but
it,
you
yeah.
don't have to.
No, you don't have to anymore, They're
Oh.
pretty glass gems of different colors, you know.
Those can go on top.
Or you can put them on top, but for, you know, the bottom, if you want to have a decorative base.
Oh,
Mine
so
is
you
now
can
full.
see through it.
Yeah, it's just like layering pretty colored sand, you know, how they used to do little kits for kids, with different colors, it's the same idea. Or potting shards, just gotta remember to put the coffee filters down after that. Because your soil and your charcoal filtered through into your decorative base, and then you won't see it anymore.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and over time, gravity will just start to fill in the cracks, and you won't be able to start. Yeah,
I was gonna ask you, if your plants grow a little bit too much off the top, can you?
you can go in and
Scissors
give them a haircut, sure, sure you can, yeah. No problem. I mean, I believe she said the Crispy Wade Fern was 4 years old. Yeah, you can also select slow growing plants, right, off the list. The list has taller plants, shorter plants, more of a ground cover type plants, so you just go online, look at them and decide, yeah, I think these 3 will go good together. My container is this high, this wide, it won't get too crowded.
So they kind of adapt to the container. Is that right? The plants themselves?
The habit of the plant won't change,
Okay,
no, so it'll just get bigger and possibly taller,
okay, this,
yeah.
You ever put plants that flower, have flowers?
Yeah, you can put flowers.
I've seen begonias, these little begonias.
Yeah.
You can't put African violets in it.
You can actually, this one here. I've had African violets in this,
Oh, really?
yeah.
And you never have to water them then? No. Now, when you put the African violets in there, you would put, the dirt and everything like you just did on that.
Yeah, I have an insert, the base is metal.
You can't put the pot that it's in, could you? The African violet?
I wouldn't, no. Because
Or
you
would you
need the
take it out,
charcoal,
put in a bigger, or something like
right,
that?
you need the charcoal to absorb the odors. And the African violet is gonna grow, obviously, so it needs more space for its root system. The African violet is gonna grow,
Yeah.
right? So you need more space for the root system, you need the charcoal to absorb any odors. And you need that ratio of soil to airspace for that rainforest effect.
Come to your house and have you do it for me.
Take your time and think about all the different elements, because that's a very important. All the different elements. So what if I had thought about this, I would have brought like a little, painter's brush to brush the soil off of the rim, or I could add more soil to cover up that concrete edge.
And twigs or pieces of wood in there, that's.
So wood would decompose.
Okay.
And anything that's on it that you can't see will start to grow, moss, lichens, mushrooms, who knows?
Yeah.
You might get,
Yeah.
right, yeah. So make sure, you know, if you buy something at a yard sale, you clean it properly, you rinse it properly, everything should be clean, sterile.
Would you use bleach on it when you clean it or no?
No,
No, just soap and water.
unless it's really grungy. But mild, cold water and bleach at the right dilution. You always want to use bleach and cold water. You use hot water, it neutralizes the effect of the bleach. I know. Right? So, this is going to need a bit more moisture because the soil is very dry. I'm going to add a little bit more to it. And, if you turn over your paper, someone here has a smiley face on the back of what you're writing is. And that person gets to take this home. I don't know who it is. Anytime I get more water. Oh, there you go. Lucky you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I thought somebody was just using my paper.
No?
I didn't know, so surprise. Thank you, Maud. That was very nice.
Like I said, terrarium was donated by Rayanne.
So any other questions for Maud before we wrap up? I thinking this was pretty,
If I love it, like your violets, but I was thinking about buying one just to try that.
Yeah.
And I'd have to put the coffee filter first and then charcoal in the coffee filter.
So if you decide you want to put a hard skate material on in the base. Here. So you want to put these glass gems in the bottom. For decorative purposes, right? Okay, then you would take your coffee filter.
can you move that over a little bit, Maud? You can't see because the terrarium's in the way.
How's that?
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
Okay, you would take your coffee filter, you can dampen it before you lay it on your hardscape material, or you can lay it down first. And then use it. To dampen it, and then put your soil and your charcoal in. And mix those together. You can mix them beforehand or after the fact.
And I can get the charcoal in any place that has plants.
This came from Pet Supply Store.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, aquarium.
It's for aquarium.
So it's activated charcoal.
Yeah.
You can go to a pet supply where they have fish and
Oh,
Get-
supply,
yeah, get
You
charcoal.
could probably buy those crystals too with them.
No, you want the activated charcoal.
No, I mean the.
Oh,
ones-
the glass?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, dollar store.
yeah, I was thinking,
Yeah.
okay.
This is the aquarium stone. The way that's-
But doesn't their white coffee filter show then?
No, well, this is too big, obviously, you have.
Oh, so you have to cut it down. right?
Yeah,
So
you have to
just
cut it
fits
down.
over that, right?
Yeah, or you might need more than one coffee filter to cover the whole surface.
Okay.
And I would take the plant out and then just put it in this,
Take it out of its original container,
yeah,
loosen up as much of the soil around the roots as you can. And then place it in the soil in your container. And then layer your soil on top to cover its roots. Then, don't want to crush the soil.
So you want to match the violet you get so that that the container you're putting in is deep enough so that you can put that potted plant in there with your base and your soil.
You don't want to crowd it either.
And if you know you're getting a violet and maybe it's coming in a 4-inch pot, you want about 6 inches of space to put your plant in.
You wanna make sure you're not crowding it along the walls. So it has space. Yeah. So, I love it.
Now I gotta hunt for it.
It's it's a ratio. A ratio too. You don't wanna put a tiny plant in here and the ratio of plants to the container is obviously. You don't wanna put something too tall in here. You wanna give a little space above. I've seen people turn these into fairy gardens. It's just incredible.
Oh, let me see, we got question from the chat, just to thank you.
Oh, okay.
All right, any other questions?
What was the name of the street?
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'm gonna stop the recording and then we can look at Maud's displays, and for the Zoom folks, I'll be sending you guys her instruction pamphlets with her resources. So thank you all. We take July off, so I'll see everybody back in August. We take July off from Garden Talk, so.